And he actually, in his time when he used to drive, he used to give 100%, whether tarmac or off-road. I never got driving a Celica or even the Evo on tarmac roads. I am not confident. Maybe because I've never driven on tarmac events. But yes, it was a scene to see when he won the stage in Uru Park.
All right, we'll be coming back to you, and at the moment, let's join one event where we've got the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu, who is speaking, and let us listen to this speech by the Cabinet Secretary.
The same, I urge TVET institutions and the universities to start preparing to receive the CPC graduates in a few years. These are part of the handbook career guide that we are giving to all our secondary schools, and they should be able to provide proper guidance. Thank you. CPC, as you know, we have engaged in a very systematic rollout of that system. We are on a course, and in 2 years' time, the program will be in senior secondary school, where we have 3 pathways: STEM, social sciences, sports, and performing art. And we are already asking the senior schools to prepare for that entry of that grade, as well as asking our universities to start making the necessary preparations, because in the year 2029, they should be expecting the first cohort of our CPC, and also to assure the country that we are mitigating on the various challenges, including the teacher shortage. You are aware that the government has been able to employ now 56,000 so far, ever since this new administration came into being. I now turn the second agenda of the day, which is to launch the application portal for the new funding model for education in Kenya. For the first time, students whose households are at the bottom of the pyramid shall enjoy equal opportunities in accessing university education and TVET education through 100% government funding. This means the households are not expected to pay anything for the program cost, and additionally, the students will receive upkeep from their own proceeds. Out of the 2022 KCSE graduates, over 45,000 university students and 42,000 TVET students categorized as vulnerable and extremely needy will be fully funded under the government scholarships and loans. The categorization will be realized through a reliable scientific method, commonly known as means testing instrument, used to determine the students' level of financial needs to ensure they are supported adequately. However, the continuing students will not be affected by this funding model, and will continue to receive their funding based on the government's existing model. And I understand there are a few concerns from the Vice Chancellors. I was talking to the Chair of Vice Chancellors, and I told him to relax, because as a government, we are on a serious engagement. Actually, even when I was here, my colleague from National Treasury, we are engaging on the same. We have been engaging on the same with the Principal Secretary, even as we were out there with him in Rome. And one of the things that we are presenting in the coming week to Cabinet as a Cabinet memo is on this, so that whatever gaps there are, I'm sure that we are going to take the necessary measures as might be necessary. Since the Presidential Directive on 3rd May 2023 on the rollout, the new funding model, the government has developed and completed the higher education financing portal to receive applications for both scholarships, loans, and bursary for university and TVET students. Students who require funding must make formal application through higher education financing portal www.hef.coke. I repeat again, students who require funding must make formal application through higher education financing portal www.hef.coke. It is now my pleasure to announce that the scholarships, loans, and bursaries application platform is now ready for use. I therefore direct Vice Chancellors and Principals to ensure letters of admission are released by the 2nd of August 2023. This will also allow students to apply for loans and bursaries from the 3rd of August 2023 to the midnight of 27th August 2023. I urge students to ensure they stick to the set timelines to ensure speedy processing of scholarships and bursaries, since most universities are preparing to admit first-year students in September. I urge all other relevant government agencies to ensure a smooth and successful implementation of this model. In conclusion, I wish to declare the higher education financing portal www.hef.coke officially opened. Again, as I conclude, we are concerned because from those who applied for university admission, we are able to take note that 23,138 have not applied at all, which is 13.35%. Equally, those who qualify for diploma courses in our various technical institutions and the middle-level colleges, the tune of 136,592, which is 63.94%, have not applied for any diploma course. Equally, those who qualify for certificate courses, the tune of 249,149, which is 86.42%, have not applied at all. And we are hoping that they should be able to apply because we have capacity in our universities still, and we also have capacity in our technical institutions such that they should be able to apply so that they get places in these particular universities. And finally, we are releasing the report on the Presidential Working Party tomorrow. A lot is contained in that particular report as we undertake reforms in the various sectors of education, right from basic. There are quite a number of recommendations which have been made. You know that already we have implemented some, particularly on the first one, which was most critical, of domiciling our junior secondary schools in the existing primary schools. We are also having far-reaching recommendations in that report, which will be announced tomorrow, particularly on the number of running areas at the CPC levels, and there are certain issues which are administrative, other issues which of course will be able to undergo the process through the cabinet and even Parliament for the necessary approvals to be obtained. There are also issues to deal with the CDAC and TVET, and some of the issues as contained from the report which report was obtained by the recommendations that were made by Kenyans as the team went around the 47 counties, more so on SIDAC, because Kenyans said, I think we require the council SIDAC to be reconstituted once more, and we have already taken steps of reconstituting.
And that is the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Ezekiel Machogu, and was speaking at the Kenya School of Government, where he was releasing the 2023 and 2024 Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service results, and also announcing about the Higher Education Fund, and the portals have been announced. Our reporter at the event is Jael, and she is going to be giving us that report later today. We continue with our conversation on Sports Check, and this is about motorsport, and we're with the leader of the 2023 Kenya National Rally Championship leader, Josphat Chana, better known as the Iceman, and he's been speaking about, the evolution of rallying and what he has felt, how he started with a Golf, moving on to, a powerful Toyota Celica, and now also moving on to the Evo 9 and eventually the Evo 10. And let me just come to this, and you've said about the power of that car. How different was it from the light Mitsubishi Evo 9 that you later drove?
Well, the difference between the Celica and the Evo 9, the Celica had raw power from the word go. Whereas on the Evo 9, that's when manufacturers started bringing in active diffs, smart diffs. You could adjust the settings from the car, inside, from your palm. You set it to whatever you want, and it does what you want to do.
Okay, in simple terms, because you work around rally cars a lot, active diff and the terms that you're using, what does that mean?
Well, all our old generation cars use mechanical diffs, which is the limited slip differential, which works on your road condition, on the load. Let's say if you're taking a high-speed left corner, when the left wheel starts grabbing or gets load, it shifts power to the right side, and that starts, grabbing the road as well. Whereas on the active diff, what we're using now, the new generation, is it's an hydraulic system that is going towards your center diff, and what that does is every corner you take, it shifts the pressure. If your front wheels feel there's a lot of load, it pushes the pressure to the back wheels. So you get an even distribution of power. When you have even distribution of power, you get better traction. So that's why you find most of these new cars, the Group N cars or the B13, coming into a corner and coming out of a corner, they don't slide a lot. Besides the driver forcing them to slide. That is in circumstances that depending on the surface.
No, we always love to see the sliding. You can't do the Kasarani Super Special and not slide. Then where have I gone there? I basically don't want to see you driving like me. That's the whole essence of enjoying rallying.
Yes.
But at the moment, and seeing the competition that has come in, especially with these powerful cars,
yes.
The Evo 9 years going into the Evo 10 years, we've seen a lot of speed being exhibited. We've seen Tundo, Baldev Chaga, we've seen the Rai family. We've also seen them, even the local drivers, people like Isa Mwari, coming in and giving us a push. What has that competition brought? These powerful machines, how did it change the KNRC?
Well, like I said, we all looked at new generation machines. You have to move on with times. And I think each person started, bringing in one car. You look at the results, and it became a trend where you see the results of that new car with the driver, and in rallying, everything is about getting better and quicker. So I think everyone decided now it's time to move on, and that's how these machines started arriving here.
At the moment, there are the regulations that have come in, especially, let's talk with the WRC Kenya now being part of the World Rally, being part of the WRC calendar. What were the changes that you saw? You've mentioned, just to recap them, and how it has changed the way you prepare a rally car, given that, and also taking a look at maybe the differences in regulations that you have seen when you come in and participate in what I would call the KNRC in the safari.
Well, there is a big difference when it comes to WRC rallying. If you were to enter the WRC rally, you cannot enter a B13 or a Group S car or a two-wheel drive car. You have to enter as a Group N car. There are certain safety aspects you need to homologate with. The fuel tank, the roll cages, your fire extinguishers have to be in order for you to participate in the WRC safari. For the Kenya National, firstly, you will abide by the rules of the national rally event, not the WRC. You have a different clock, of course. You have a different deputy clock, of course, for the Kenya National. I would only say the only downfall we had this year is we actually started the rallying of Kenya National during the WRC in the second loop after the WRC. We got really bad roads, dug, rough, but possible. I hope in the future they think of us a bit more. Maybe after the first loop, they can...
As the others come into service, you go out.
Yes. And we actually did Kedong. I started the stage at around 5:15, and I enjoyed it, and we were out of there before 5:45. So, it was quite enjoyable, the sunset, evening time. It reminds you of old days rallying, though we've not done night events. I think I have actually done only one event in Mombasa at night.
Actually, how was that night event? Because everyone, the spectators wouldn't make it, but what was it driving, with the lights on your bonnet?
I feel I drove faster because you can't see the sights. The dangers you think of during the day, you can't see them because the lights are pointing at the road. So you're actually, concentrating just on the road.
Let's talk about the last 2 seasons for you, because you've been giving a push for this. Well, last year, you gave Karan Patel a push, right close to the end of it. What would you say was your experience in 2022? That's when we got to rallying proper post-COVID in the season.
Well, 2022, yes, we were very close. It was down to the wire, basically. But 2022, I'll never forget, because we had a bit of issues with my car for the last 4 to 5 rounds, where the turbo pipes kept on popping out. We never got to know what it was then. So the Woi rally was the last event, and we gave it quite a big of a push, in the stage, and again the pipe popped out, but we managed quickly to put it back in and move on. I would call that rallying. It's not all sweet every day, but yes, it showed me my potential. It showed me where I can push, and we continued from there into the next year, which is 2023, and we're just gradually pushing more and more each rally. For safari, you never drive as a KNRC. You respect it for what it is, whether you're doing part of Kenya National in the WRC, but you still respect it. It's a car breaker, and if you don't use your head, you aren't coming back. Yeah.
Now let's talk about this season so far. The events that you have been there. You finished third in Machakos, finished third in Voi, the Equator Rally. Just tell us about those 2 events first.
Well, Machakos, I think, being the first rally, like I always tell myself, I was sleeping in the first 3 stages. Gradually woke up, but it was too late. We were already finishing the rally. But we took it lightly and said, first rally of the event. We learned from each rally. And then we went into Equator. Equator, we had some good competition. Just Mangat from Uganda. We have our locals. I think we have very good talent in Kenya coming to rallying. It's just we have not been given the opportunities to show our talent. We have very many local drivers, have potential to drive rally cars, but it comes down to sponsorship, getting the vehicle, and that's why us as drivers are asking the federation, please bring grassroots rallying back. The training rallies. Let local talent, new talent start rallying. It doesn't have to be an expensive car. Give them a pro box, make sure it's got a roll cage, give them a stage of 20 kilometers, repeat it 3 times. It's a learning curve. And that's what I think.
Well, if you talk about a pro box, then I know where people are going to come from. All of them will come from Embu. We see how they drive on Thika Road with whatever produce they have.
Yeah.
And the Nakuru Rally, what was different about that, winning that?
Well, I think by then we'd sorted out the car.
Including the
turbo issues, yes. We finally found the problems. Our recce was really well. We used some new notes. We added some more information in our notes where I thought, I was losing time. So that made a very big difference. And we're going to continue. We did use it in the Safari, but like I said, we respected the Safari. And we didn't drive 100%. I must have driven Safari at around 60 to 65%. But now that we're back in the national event, we have the Eldoret Rally this weekend. I think we'll push for it again. We need to be in the top 3 podium, just to make sure that our lead stays in the gap.
Well, leading by 54 points is Jasmine Chan. He's got 114. Makre Kimathi is on 60, so that's a huge one, and he's got to do it. Heading to the rest of the season, for people to understand, first of all, what does it mean for you, the 200,000 shillings that came in for your team from the Cabinet Secretary's Hongera Awards as you head to Eldoret this weekend? What would that take care of, in context?
Well, firstly, I would like to thank the CS himself. In my rallying career, this is the first time that we have been rewarded by a cash reward. I used to hear in the olden days, they used to get these rewards as well, mostly in the Safari, the Marlborough Safari. And, for me, this amount is a big help. Because, when it comes to logistics, whether a national event or a WRC, it costs a lot. We have the service truck to move around, we have the mechanics to move around, recce, there's a lot of things involved where, you need to use cash, and this will take us a long way. And I really appreciate of what he has done for us. And I hope, things get better in the federation, and things will look better in the future.
Actually, just to think of it, or if you go to Eldoret, about how much would it cost just for you to do the recce and get the service track to the service park?
Well, you now know fuel prices have gone up, so getting the truck up there to and fro, I'm looking around 50,000 bob. Doing the recce depends on what car you use, but whatever the case, you're looking at a minimum of 20,000 bob fuel costs for recce.
That is 2 runs of 350 kilometers each.
Yes. So you're looking at around 100,000 just, doing small things, fueling, making sure logistics are in place. And then don't forget, during the rally, the same cars have to move to and fro, where you have the quick car, which will be, in case of anything that happens, that is all counted in this. So yes, it makes a big difference.
Looking at the rest of the season, how do you intend to attack the remaining 5 rallies that we have been lined up? There's Eldoret, I know the Kenya Motorsports Club haven't done one, the Kenya Rally team haven't done one, Simba Union, Sikh Union now.
Yeah.
They also have got one to prepare, and the Mombasa Motor Club.
I ask that question to myself every day. What is the next strategy? I tell myself, firstly, a rally is won in the workshop. 80% of rallying is won in the workshop. If your car is not fit, you're not going anywhere. The 20% now is all up to me. And yes, we are psyched, me and Ravi are psyched. But at the same time, we are going to use our head to make sure that, we're in the podium. We don't need to win a rally anymore. If you do your calculations, the pressure is not on me. The monkey is on someone else's back. So the pressure is not on me. I just have to make sure that I finish in my podium. The rest can fight for a win, and we'll see how it goes after that.
Now that you've mentioned that, but especially about the workshop, which are the critical areas that you always look for in your car before you head to any rally? I know the suspension is one, and also making sure you don't have misfires. What are the things you check?
Well, like basically after the WRC being the way it was, the car was actually stripped 2 days later. We just put it back about a week and a half ago. It's all ready now. Basically what we do is strip everything, remove it out, check for cracks. The gearbox, engine, diffs are inspected. Dry shafts, these are moving parts that you need to look at. Your brake discs, because they go hot and you go through water, they get cracks. So you have to make sure all these things are in running condition. So basically, yes, we have to go through everything to make sure you have a 100% car.
After testing, how do you feel this? How do you find the car now that you've put it all back?
Well, every time you do a rally and then have a break and then go and test a car, you always feel different. Well, I do. You tell yourself, this is working better than what it was, but it is actually the same thing. It's all a mindset. Mm-hmm. But basically, all to all, the car is running well, and we're ready for Eldoret.
Staying fit as a rally driver, because it can drain you. I can imagine, for example, you're going to do 2 loops of 70 kilometers in roads that, at times can break an ordinary person. You're driving at high speed and all that. Do you stay fit every day?
Well, let me tell you the truth, Daniel. I don't do no gym. The most I do is walk, but because of our workshop, the daily, I make sure that I'm not sitting idle. You're always up and down. About 10 years ago, you would have seen me. I was not the same. I was quite big. It was a task at that time, concentration in the car, long stages. You would get tired. No doubt about it, yes. But now, after losing that weight, I have maximum concentration. The driving is 100%. It makes a big difference. I used to think, people used to tell me, you should start exercising in this. Now I realize, yes, it's true. You need to be fit to drive at that capacity.
Well, what's his name? Kaito was told that if he loses 7 kgs, he's going to be half a second faster. Yeah. How much faster did you become after sharing that weight? Quite
fast. It does make a big difference in the car as well. We always sit in a car thinking it doesn't make a difference with the driver or the navigator being heavy. It does make a difference. I've never judged it on how many kilometers per hour quicker you've become, but you can feel the car lighter or a bit quicker. I felt that in the 2-wheel drive car. I would, have friends who are a bit big. You'd take them for a ride and you'll be like, this car doesn't behave the same, something's not right. But when you drive alone or with a lighter person, you're quicker.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Jasmeet Chana headed to Eldoret this weekend. All the best.
Thank you.
And that rally is going to be around Kaptagat. There are 8 stages. There is one that's going to be run 3 times. So look out for that, 140 km. So if you're in Eldoret on the 5th of August, be sure to look out for those cars. Head towards Kaptagat Forest and around that area, as they would say, as you move around E10, and everyone will be enjoying the fast drivers, and let's see how he performs. Wish you all the best. And yeah, just a word from another one of your competitors. They say they missed Nakuru, and they say they felt missing those points. So they really want to close the gap on you.
They're welcome.
All right. So Rally fans, Eldoret it is this weekend. We take a short break, and when we come back, let's talk about baseball. Because in Kenya, we have got one huge league, and it is known as the Baseball for Africa. Started 19 years ago. Right now, everyone's playing it, and they had an event over the weekend. George Kenuthi Wachira and Dedan Karaoke join us in a short while.
영준 신부님 시신 명예훼손한 거, 구영석 후배 죽이고 그 가족들까지 위협한 거
제발 부탁드려 주십시오. 아들이기 때문에 안 들어주는 거야. 진노인 내가 진짜 감히 지금 누굴...
Bilisi, tafuta ugo mtu atagusia.
Ni vibaya sana kubeba moto namna hiyo.
Wewe unaenda wapi wewe? Rudi hapa wewe. Motobe, nitakufuta gasi wewe.
Usikie kabisa na ufungue masikio usikie. Hakuna kazi na kurudishia ya umanager.
Wewe ni nani?
Bali yake mwenyewe.
I have the energy and the power to fire you.
Hata mimi nilikuwepo
kama. Nyamaza.
Ngoja ni yako bwana, wewe ona ulinitanganya.
Hebu uma kula hivi.
The 2022 general election in Kenya.
I, Susan Kihika, do hereby swear.
7 women governors.
Tabitha Karanja Kiroche, having been elected a member of the Senate.
3 women in the Senate.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the people and the Republic of Kenya.
29 women in the National Assembly and 115 women in the county assemblies. For Nakuru County, it was a clean sweep. How did they beat the mythical odds? We answer this and more in our themed bulletin, Breaking Barriers, Women in Elective Politics in Kenya.
Every Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, #Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It is the 31st day of July 2023. And we'll be getting into a conversation about baseball because, as you can see, I've got this helmet here. This is a baseball helmet. It's not supposed to be used by border riders, but they do use them so that they don't get arrested by cops. But besides that, the stories that we have got today, the Cabinet Secretary for Information Communication and the Digital Economy, Eliud Owalo, today gave a one-year status report on his ministry's activities. We shall be having stories from in our bulletins from that event that took place this morning. The Cabinet Secretary for Education, Ezekiel Machogu, is at the Kenya School of Government, and that was at the release of the 2023-2024 Kenya University and Colleges Central Placement Service results, and also the Higher Education Fund. So those two portals have been officially launched. And we've got the annual Judges Conference. This is happening in Naivasha, being overseen by the Chief Justice Wahome, and also the Judicial Service Commissioner Charity Kisotu is going to be sworn in at the Supreme Court this afternoon. The Council of Governors, they've got a meeting today, and the COG Chair, Anwegoro, is going to be addressing the media at 1 p.m. And also we've got KEPSA and a unit program that is going on today. So that's just part of the news cycle that we will be taking care of today, as we keep you informed on all that's happening around the country. Our sign language interpreter within these is Lensa Odingo. Well, from motorsport, let's move on to sport where they say they play around a diamond. And we're talking about baseball. In Kenya, really hasn't picked up, but for some people, you all played rounders in school, others played softball. And we've got the Baseball Federation of Kenya Vice President, Darren Kariuki. Karibu.
Asante.
Asante. And we also have got George Kinuthia Wachira, who is the President Baseball for Africa. Thank you. And, you know, Baseball for Africa, they had their event at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology and over the weekend. And this is turning out to be the biggest baseball event in Kenya. Currently, it's the oldest and consistent. So, let me just start with you, VP Dedan. Baseball, it's an American sport. We tend to go with sports that come easy to pick and look, how would I say, are not start-stop, like baseball is. What's been the story of baseball in the country?
Baseball actually was started by Marines here in Kenya. I remember very well, I was one of those that got the knowledge of, or actually benefited from their clinics. They had clinics in Bahati, the so-called Mutaani, and they would gather the young people there with a couple of gloves. So that is the first time that I got encounter with the baseball. And then it didn't spread much because Marines, they usually come for a shorter period and then they're posted to other places. So later on in the years, when we went through school in America and learned about baseball, that is the time we came back and started off. And the history of baseball is that it's been with us for the last 20, 25 years or so. Yeah.
And one of the things is, how do you then get to set up a playing area for baseball to get that diamond?
Normally we use what we call football fields. That is what is available to us because we don't have any baseball park in Kenya. So those are the ones, those are the places where we have our games played. Yes.
All right, and for you, let me come to you, George. Baseball for Africa. 19 years on, just take us through the story of this foundation and the growth that you have seen.
Okay, Baseball for Africa was started by a Kenyan tourist called Jim Tamarak from the US. He traveled, when he retired, he was playing baseball in America when he was younger, and he retired and he had a childhood dream of teaching baseball in Africa to the kids in the villages. So he took a 100-day tour of Africa looking for a place where he could teach baseball. And he traveled across southern part of Africa, from South Africa, Zimbabwe, I think Botswana, Mozambique, and up to Kenya through Tanzania. And all the places, he didn't find a compatible place where he could teach baseball. So he ended up in Makueni at a school called Kiwangwani. So from there he started a project where he wanted to spread the game across the schools within Makueni. And he stayed there for a number of years. And then eventually by a chance we met and we thought maybe it was a good idea to spread the game or to spread the idea across the country. So initially there were 14 schools that had adopted baseball as one of their sports, but we realized that sports in schools, unless it is mainstream in the secondary school curriculum, it's very hard for it to take root. So we decided to take it to the communities, and from there it became, it took a national outlook. So over the time, that time it was only a school affair. Today there are teams from every part of the country participating. Like yesterday we had teams from Western Kenya, Rift Valley, Coast, former Central Region, and Nairobi. So it has continued to grow over time, and today it is the biggest and the oldest and probably the most consistent baseball tournament in Kenya, considering baseball is still a very minor game. And we are proud that with the blessings of the federation, or the collaboration with the federation, we have managed to come up with one of the finest or the biggest tournament in the country. And yesterday's, or the day before yesterday's tournament, which started on Saturday, we were able to transcend our borders, and we had the first foreign team ever since we started from Tanzania. So our dream is, as you heard, it's baseball for Africa. We want to transcend our boundaries and also bring Africa together through baseball at the club level, because what happens is the federation is doing its job as in terms of managing the national team and coordinating the activities within the country. But at the club level, like you'd have club championships for Africa, we don't have that kind of initiative. So our goal, with the collaboration with the local federation and also with the African body, is to come up with a club initiative for the entire continental showcase for baseball, so that we can give all the African children an opportunity to participate. Other than that, we are also spreading the game through donations, equipment donations, and we have been donating to a lot of the needy areas. Especially, baseball has been embraced a lot in the slums. Like we have a big slum in Elbagon called Kasarani, and they have hundreds of kids who have taken baseball as a pastime, and we have been working with similar initiatives in order to equip them, because baseball equipments are not available in Kenya.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let me come to you, VP. And he's mentioned a lot about the spread of the game here. And how are you doing the outreach to ensure that when people go there, because if you take a look at baseball, it fits well with the African culture. It's a game of throw, catch, hit, run, which is basically how most of us grew up.
True.
What are you doing? What are you doing to see that this spread, as it grows, comes back and, is retained, and there's a culture of that sport growing at every point?
You see, basically, we have a policy that we have to go to the mashinani. Mashinani is primary schools. We have had pilot projects within the schools here in Nairobi, particularly in Eastlands. And the only thing that made us to possibly discontinue the program is because we were not able to supply the schools with enough equipment. Because most of the equipment, like George has said, nobody in the whole entire Africa makes any of these pieces that you see on the desk. So that
even
one,
this.
Yes. Helmet. Basically, I don't think there is any company that manufactures any of these
especially
equipment.
tailor-made for baseball, because it could be slightly different from.
So that actually did make us not to continue with that kind of project. But that has not stopped, because what happened thereafter is that we started partnering with other people. The Friends of USA, the JICA community, of course, the Japanese who have been taken to many parts of our country. They have helped us spread the game of baseball. And the very first place that baseball was started was in Meru. Why? Because there was quite a number of these people who are posted to help to work with the various projects in Meru. And now we have quite a number of counties that baseball is being played. Like I have said, we focus much on primary school because that's where we nurture the talents. And we have seen the results. We are now, we believe we are on the right track because we have quite a number of schools, like in 7 or 10 counties, where baseball is played in all levels, starting from under 12, under 15, under 18, and even the adults. Adults, of course, most of them, we are those that are in universities.
Yes.
That's where we get much, and the universities, many of them actually have been playing and they're still playing.
Now, you mentioned Meru because baseball is a sport that earned somebody the Community Hero Award. I think he works with the National Government Administration Officer.
Right.
What's the real story about Meru and baseball? Because I know that's a county that is football mad.
The story is basically, the history behind it is that these Jaika people, Japanese, they started interacted with the Wananchi. And I think what they could offer in terms of recreation was baseball. And they had a few equipment here and there. So it's been there and it's still there. And I believe, well, though the JICA people also, like the Marines, they also come for a shorter period and they leave. But the very best thing that I have done to our people is that they have trained school teachers to take over when they leave. Because they have noticed that it's usually a gap when somebody introduces a program and then there's nobody to steer it up. So that's actually, they have helped us in many ways. And Meru being one of the very first place where we started, I think they are proud that they were the pioneers of baseball in this country.
So you talk about the equipment and that it's not manufactured anywhere in the country. Let's start with the simple one, the bat. There's a wooden bat and there is one that is made
Aluminium.
of aluminium.
Yeah. Yes.
Just take us through those two, George, and how the difference and how they, and where one uses the other.
Okay, we have the aluminium one is more commonly used because it's readily available, and like in Kenya, we depend on donations. So whatever comes, mostly the wooden bats are used in the professional games, like MLB, Major League Baseball. That's like Premier League of baseball, and I would assume they are more expensive than the aluminium one. So, and kids also mostly use aluminium, and we get donations targeting youth and children. So, but basically nothing is, they're not made in Africa, not made in Kenya, they're not available in any shop in Kenya. So mostly we depend on the generosity of the missionaries and the tourists who come here, and we can't afford to choose, but mostly we get aluminium bats.
Now, the wooden one.
Yes.
And just explain that, because the picture that you've just seen is that of an aluminium bat, what the Americans call aluminum.
Yeah. That's
we say aluminium, yeah. But what's the challenge about crafting one, a wooden one, here in Kenya?
Okay.
Is it that we don't have the right wood, or is it that somebody hasn't dared venture into it?
Okay, we attempted to do it, and did some samples, like prototype bats, and it's doable. But the problem is the market, because like we have said, baseball is played mainly in the marginal communities, whereby they have to depend on a certain person in the community who is exposed to baseball, and he introduces the game within the community. Like where I live, I start a project, a baseball project. Where Dylan lives, also he has, certain he has something like that. So all of us, there's a point of convergence, like competitions and all that, but it's like individual initiatives. So the market does not justify production in this country, because it's still a minor game, and a lot of people would not be willing to invest their money in a game that is not very, very well known in the country, or maybe the resources. And I would also add, one aluminium bat is more than $150. So a wooden one, maybe, and you see...
That is 20,000 shillings.
Yes, and maybe a good wooden bat in the US could go for more than that, because the demand is higher, for it is used by
the pros.
By the pros. Yeah, it's like having an ordinary playing shoe for soccer and having maybe a Nike shoe. So that's the difference. So, and then also good wood is expensive in Kenya, because you can't use just any wood, because it will break because of the speed of the ball when you're batting. The contact, even those ones normally break. I think that's the other reason why we don't use so much of wooden, because you can break even 5 bats in one tournament.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me also say something about the wooden bats, which we tried a couple of years. We did go to some of our carpenters with the lathe machine and all that. We made and we did distribute them to various schools. And the only thing is what George has said, to find out the right wood with the right
electricity.
Yes. Because you see, breakage of wooden bats is very common. And we fear that if they do it in a game, that piece can fly over and hit somebody or something like that. But that does not hinder us from doing more research on the kind of wood that can be used. And in fact, even other people who have come from other countries, they have encouraged Kenya to research on that. Because imagine if we were the producers or manufacturers of wooden wood, would spread, them or sell them to the whole entire Africa, where baseball is being played.
Wow. Well, an opportunity that has come in, I'm sure that is a very good challenge. And still looking at the equipment, let's go down. There is that red helmet that is at the bottom there. Yeah. And you also have got that guard.
Protector,
the chest protector. The chest protector.
This is the kit for the catcher, because in baseball we have the pitcher who throws the ball at a very high speed. So the person who catches in defense has to be protected, because the ball can injure them. Because in major leagues, the ball travel at 110 miles per hour. So, and it's a hard ball. So this ball can cause a lot of damage if the person catching is not well protected.
Well, 110 miles per hour is 180 kph. That is a solid ball coming to you at that point. And also the gloves that they use.
Yes. Okay, this is a catcher's glove. So it's
actually something you've been hiding.
Yeah.
This is the ball. So you can imagine, this is leather.
Yes, it's leather.
It's leather coated.
Yeah.
And there are several types depending on when it should be used.
Yeah.
So this one actually is not coated with leather.
Yeah.
This is synthetic.
Yeah.
It's
this
used
is like
during
for
the rainy days.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also for practice.
Also for practice.
But
for
the
young
major
people.
league or tournaments like we had yesterday, we used hard ball, which are leather coated, but it's cone inside, and then it's very hard. Then they cover it with.
Okay. So the gloves that we have here.
The glove that you have here, we have different types of gloves. This one is for the catcher. It's called mint. And the other one, the glove that I'm holding here, and I can easily fit my hand there, is a glove for the right-handed player. Because we also have a glove for the left-handed, which is worn on the right hand. So this is the one that you catch the ball, because that ball is quite hard and you cannot catch with your bare hands. So you have to have something that will protect your arm from getting injured.
All right, let me just get this right.
Right.
So that means if I'm right-handed, I have to catch with my left.
Yes.
Yeah,
if I'm left-handed, I've got to catch with my right.
Yeah,
the reason is you have to throw that ball.
Once you catch it.
Once you catch it. So once you must be prepared, and you have to act very fast, so that when the ball gets into your glove. You remove it and field it to any position that you want to get that ball.
Yeah, because the concept of baseball is we have two sides. 9 players taking batting in turns. So there's the defense and the offense. So the defense player is trying to get the person offending or the people who are batting, because we call it batting, not to win a point. A point in baseball is called a run. So, and the issue is we are trying to stop.
How many bases?
Okay, we have 3 bases.
3 bases.
And a home plate. So everything starts at the home plate and ends at the home plate. But the idea is for the player to round off the bases and come back before the ball gets either to the bases or to the home plate. So the defense is trying to stop the runner from getting to the base by throwing the ball to the base where he's advancing to before he gets there. Because when you round off the bases, you tag the base if you get there. So the person can tag the base or tag the runner in between or at the base. So if that person is tagged or the player is tagged, then he's out. But if he manages to round off either by himself, by hitting the ball so far, or maybe others helping him move base by base, then that's also a run. But what do you call like a hat trick in baseball is getting a home run, hitting the ball so hard it goes very far. The defense does not get it back until you round off all the bases. So that's a premium run, although it counts the same points. But that shows like if they were looking for the MVP, the one who has most of that is the MVP for the day.
So there you had it about a home run. That is basically going around the diamond.
Yes.
Base by base. First base, second base, third base.
And home.
And home.
Yes.
Here's the thing. You hear words like innings.
Yes. Okay.
And the scoring system.
Okay. Yeah.
You hear somebody saying 9-7.
Yeah.
So that one works like this. You know, we all start with the offense and defense. The offense is the team that is batting, right? And of course, there's what we call batting. Within the diamond, there are areas designated for batting. And if you are right-handed, shown where to start. If you are left, then you're on the other side. So once you bat, and the ball goes out in the fair territory, and the fair territory is between the first base and the third. If the ball passes in between there, you are allowed now to move to the first base. If you have hit far enough, you can even complete the circuit by going first base, second base, third base, and coming back to where you started, which is the home plate. Then you have scored a run. Okay?
Yes.
If it goes, of course, there are chances that at one time a player will be what we call strike-offs. Okay? If you are on the diamond, on the home plate, and you miss hitting the ball 3 times, you are out.
You're out.
That is one person out.
That is what they call the 3 strikes rule.
Yes. Exactly. That's the 3 strike rule. Then when you hit the ball up in the air, what we call fly ball, and it's caught before it gets to the ground, you are out. Right?
Yes.
Another way of removing that player is when he tries to move from one base to the other. That is what we call the tagging out. So that way, when 3 players are out, you change over. Then you give the other team the opportunity of also batting. So when both teams have done that, when they have completed that one, they call it an inning. Then you continue that way until the 9th inning. And then the game is over if there is a will. If there is a tie, then you play another game to break the tie. That's how
you see, they're fully into the American language, a tie. Here in Kenya, we call it a draw. So, Ideally, if somebody wants to play baseball, where can they find you? Where can they find you?
Okay. We have several centers in the country. If you're playing in Nairobi, there's Olympic School is playing baseball. Lenana School is the coach of Lenana School. And if you're near this side, west part of Nairobi, where I come from is Kabete. So Kabete, we have a baseball academy for all ages. And in Mombasa, we have Bomo in Mombasa City. And in Kilifi, we have 2 places. We have...
I have an academy.
He has an academy in Kilifi.
In Kilifi, Rabai, where young people gather there and play baseball. We have another one in Magongo Primary. We have also in Kikambala, within the Kilifi. So it's scattered all over the country.
And also in Kajiado, there's a Masai Land Baseball Academy. And in Elbagon, now we have the biggest baseball and the most successful baseball project in Kenya, because it targets kids from the slums. It's like the Maisa of baseball. So because these kids don't know anything else, they have no any other life, and you can get even 100 kids of different ages playing baseball at a place called Kasarani in Elbagon. That's slum there. So, and in Migori, there's also another project. Recently, Western Kenya, about 6 schools are playing baseball. So there are several, and some of the universities also have baseball teams, of which some of them are joined by ex-students, the alumni, and sometimes they also entertain a few people from the communities.
All right. Yes. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes, and speaking about baseball, George Kinoti Awashire there is the president of Baseball for Africa here, and the vice president of the Baseball Federation of Kenya, Dedan Kariuki. Thank you very much. And, it's always encouraging to hear that the biggest sporting project is not in Nairobi. It is outside Nairobi, because there's so much concentration here, centralization, but when things are happening in Kilifi County, in Migori, in Nakuru County, then it gives us joy, because it gives us a chance to tembea Kenya. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Before we wind up, I just wanted to mention to our baseball fraternity that we have a big event that is coming soon. This will be Friends of Japan coming to Kenya for coaching. And this will take place at Roland Scouts Camp. And we'll invite many people from many around our counties. We'll have one for the coaches, and the other one will be for the young people in our secondary school. So the name of this, whatever is called Kushien. Kushien in Japan, it means secondary school league. So we'll have a similar program adopted here in Kenya. We'll have Kushien Baseball League in Kenya.
Which is also, if you may allow me, is in Ghana, Nigeria, and Tanzania. And they scout for potential players who can go and complete their education in Japan and maybe proceed to the major leagues in Japan.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And so we are waiting to see that, the Kushien League coming into Kenya, and that's an opportunity for you, an education pathway coming your way. Thank you very much, Bwana Washira and Bwana Kariuki.
Thank you.
Now, away from the diamond of baseball, we shall be moving on to the martial arts, and this is karate. It's a combat sport, and we'll be getting to learn about how this works and how Nairobi County is preparing for the national calendar. That's coming up after this short break.
Show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
Digital resilience is about organizations being able to continue to operate despite negative impacts that they've experienced.
The subject digital transformation, we keep talking about it, but very many people fail to understand that.
Twitter's removal of blue ticks is forcing accounts to find new ways to prove authenticity as concerns over copycats mount. At the same time, Elon Musk has given blue ticks to a few celebrities who didn't ask for one, such as writer Stephen King and Larry Madowo, for free.
Take on Tech every Monday at 10:30 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Stay tuned.
Ulitoka vipi bila kuniambia wewe?
Yaani kutoka siku zote leo ni mbaya. Yaani si vile ninavyomfahamu.
Unifahamu wewe? Unifahamu kabisa? Sikujui. Kingo huyu mtu nani?
Mimi peke yangu ndio jinamizi kwenye ile nyumba.
Yaani mtoto jinsi unavyong'ara. Unameremeta. Mtoto kubambamu.
Ni kwaje mbona hali ya mama imebadilika ghafla namna hii?
Watu wa Maimahi umupo, stesheni uipendayo ya Shoro FM imekuandalia tamasha kali ya Mugithi Night Jumamosi tarehe 5 Agosti mwaka huu hapo VIP Nest Lounge Maimahi. Karabi na bendi yake wataporomosha burudani kabambe kuanzia saa 2 za usiku hadi che. Ma-MC wetu wa nguvu Mwana Mwende, Joseph Njenga na makoha wa Vioja Mahakamani wamewatayarishia vichekesho kemkema na zawadi kocho kocho za kushindaniwa. Mafans wa Naivasha na Maimahi mnaombwa kujitokeza tujumuike pamoja kupiga sherehe. Hii itakuwa kali sana.
영준 신부님 시신 명예훼손한 거, 구영사 후배 죽이고 그 가족들까지 위협한 거
제발 부탁 들어주십시오. 아들이기 때문에 안 들어주는 거야. 친노인네가 진짜 감히 지금 누굴...
Ayo. Right. Chokuzuki. Inch. San. Chi. Go. Inch. Go. Nizuki. Inch ne. Inch. Ni. Sin. She. Go. Look. Sin. Ku. Go. Go. San Baunzuki. Inch. Ni. Sin. She. Go. Up. Hitch. Ku. Ku. Ka. Yo. Hitch.
Well, that is a demonstration of this martial art karate. And the ones who are doing the demonstrations, you've got David Okomo, who's the technical director, Nairobi Karate. He was right in the middle. The two ladies who are doing the demonstration out there, Ivy Doresi and Juliet Musenya, while the gentlemen, Kennedy Kiyoko and Daniel Mwendo, those are the karatekas that we did see there. Thank you very much. And first of all, let me start with you, TD, David. The language that you are using, because You know, people always have the imaginary things when it comes to karate, that you speak in some imaginary language. What's the language used when communicating with your karatekas?
We're using Japanese language because so far karate originated from Japan, the island of Okinawa. So Japan decided to spread karate all over the world and spread their language. So we are using the Japan language to make it so beautiful and very easy to understand as per their tradition.
All right. So now you have it there. So if you have just been shouting "Hiya,"
yes,
then you clearly know that what you've been doing is wrong. But
Yes.
also right here, I've got the members of the Nairobi Karate Association, the leadership, and we've got John Bongo on my far left. He is the assistant secretary.
Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome. And we've got Annbeth Tieno, who is the second vice chair of the Nairobi Karate Association. And you had your novices and seniors championship yesterday at the Technical University of Kenya, the place that people still refer to as Kenya Poly, Kenya Polytechnic. I wouldn't blame them. But first of all, you just give us an overview of the championship that came through for the novices and then the seniors.
I will let
Okay, John.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is John Tezibongo, also a sensei. In karate, the karate instructors, we call them sensei, the leaders. So
out there, wanaitwa master.
Yeah, but we're called sensei. So we had a very beautiful and very successful event yesterday because we actually had planned it because we were actually doing what we call we're trying to get some members who are going to be participating to the oncoming inter-counties, which will happen in September. So it was very, very attractive and very successful because we had people from all over the country. We had people from Kilifi, Nakuru, Nairobi. So it was generally an open championship. And we had the novices, and then we had the senior. We involved them in both kumite, which is the sparring, and eventually the kata section. You know, in karate, these are the two areas where we compete in. We have the kata section where we display the tactics.
Which is what we had here.
No.
That
is, this we call them kihon. Kihon are the basic punches. You need to learn kihon first, and then you get to katas, and then definitely you get to the kumite, which is the sparring. So without the kihon, you will go nowhere. So you need to learn the basics first, and then
that is what you'd call the 3Ks.
Yes. So we started this championship, and it was very attractive and very competitive because we actually had to get a few members which are going to incorporate them to our national Nairobi County team, which is going to take part in the inter-counties.
Okay, so looking at it, Annbeth, let me just come to you.
Yeah.
And making sure that somebody, because we've had a group here before where they said that if they're selecting a county team, they start down there at the ward. How do you build up to the county championship?
Okay, thank you for that question. Now, for Nairobi County, this time round, we decided to do it differently. And we had the first county league. It's never been done before in the country, so Nairobi was taking lead with that. So we organized a league from January that had, and because it was the inaugural league, we started with the novices. So we did the league that ended in April. And that build up to the league is what now culminated to now the Nairobi Open. And what we saw with that is that our players continually, those who registered for the league, because again it's voluntary and it's as open as possible. So from that you're able to get who has been improving continually, because again consistency shows that this person is actually training. So you're able to tell who is going to be committed, who is going to show up for practice and be that person that you want them to be. So with that league, because again the league was going to the basics from the club level. So it's not at the county level. We began from the club level, which is actually the grassroots. Yeah.
Okay, just to explain the structure of your clubs and eventually how you gauge the progression of any karateka.
Okay. karate, when you start a karate as a student, you are a white belt.
Yes.
You're the beginner. So gradually, as we train you, you start to growing up in levels because we have a syllabus of karate. So you move from one belt to another. That is from white belt, yellow belt, orange belt, green belt, all the way up to black belt.
And already, we can see someone who's got a green belt already.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So she's one of those who gave us a key horn here.
Exactly. So when you reach at green belt, you go on all the way as you do the kihons, and there's an assessment which we call grading. So this grading is what progressively takes you to the highest level possible, which is the black belt. Yeah.
So there you have it. And Bongo, if I just come to that, looking at the competition that you had yesterday,
yes,
what did you see from those who've been moving up the grades and the kind of competition that they give?
Actually, there was a great improvement because going forward, we have seen this, our champions progressively actually...
As they continue with that display?
Actually progressing from one level to the other. Because when we started in the county with the league, we actually had to train more harder so that we can see the progression and actually development in the same. Because that has given us the opportunity to grow our students. So once you've seen the mistakes they're making in the league, you go back to the drawing board. How best can I make my student be better? Remember, these students are coming from different clubs all over the country and all over county.
And if I may add,
yes,
when you go through the levels, you become better. Karate is a sport that when you stop, it stops. It builds up on each other. Every effort builds up on each other. So it's important for consistency, for one to have consistency. And then again, it shows, because when you look at the novices sparring, you will realize that they injure each other a lot. But when you look at the seniors doing it, you realize that injuries are kept to a bare minimum, almost nil. So with time, as you start, you also don't know how to control. Because with karate, there's a lot of control. It's as a sport, there's a lot of control. But when it comes to self-defense, if I'm kicking you, I'm going to kick you. But if it's a sport, I have to control the speed at which my leg is coming to your face, so that it just becomes a slight tap as opposed to a full-on contact.
So that happens because looking at the philosophies around karate, I think one of them is how you use that energy for a single strike.
Yes.
So if it's a punch or the kick,
yes,
how then do you train people through that, Sensei?
Well, we train them through the kihons. Basically, the speed, you need to train your students on the speed and also on the controls. That is when we go to the tournaments, you don't actually injure one another. So we need to work on the speed of the training and also the kihon. That is the basics. If you do good basics, you become a very good character in both kihon, which is the basics, and also the kumite.
So we are going to be talking about the championships that were there. First of all, I know that David Okomo, what I would like to do, just pick two of your karatekas, and we would like to see one of the competitions that you always have. You have kata and you've got kumite.
Yes.
So David, you could pick two of them and they could give us a kata display in just a short while, and as we come to that. And Anbeth,
yes,
outreach, so that you have the numbers necessary to keep the karate scene active in Nairobi.
Yes.
How are you doing this outreach across the 70-something wards in Nairobi?
Now, that is not an easy task. It is definitely not easy. And that is where Nairobi County comes in. We cannot do this on our own. As a sports department, so to say, we are very small. Mm-hmm. But the county is big, and the county has facilities. So what we've had a collaboration with the county, and in the county just had their Rapid Results Initiative that ended in July. And we were part of it. They invited us, they told us, come, let's do this together. And one of the key things that they did that helped us a lot in the league is give us support. The halls, the tatami that we had to use, most of these facilities were coming from the county. And there's
tatami. That is a mat.
yes. Tatami is a mat.
Before people get lost,
yes.
Tatami is the mat.
Yes, as you've realized, they are barefoot, so you have to, it has to be done on a mat so that they also don't injure themselves, their feet. So this mat was being provided by Nairobi County and also the halls, venues. And what I saw from that, I must commend Madam Nyera. She works with the county government. She was very instrumental in ensuring that we had the venues. The venue was cleaned and everything was, in terms of facilities, like the toilets, they were in good working order. So we don't do this alone. And if we were to carry it alone, I think it wouldn't be very easy.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, Sensei, now I want you to tell, just by watching, as they do one kata display, just to give us an idea of how you do the scoring when it comes to karate. Because in boxing, we know it's where the punches land or the KO. But what about this display of the motions and the, what would I say, the forms of, the different forms of motion in karate? So, Bwana Omoko, who's the technical director of Nairobi Karate, give us one kata, and then Sensei here is going to tell us how the scoring is done.
Oi. Tekishodan. That's called Tekishodan. Is one of the shortest kata. Kata is a form of basic techniques which is being done in a combination, moving on different directions. So for this Tekishodan, is only done in one direction and on a straight line. So it's not because of the space. That's why we decided to choose it because of the space. It's called Tekishodan. Let's see from them. Shubirich. Hey. Oi. Which kata? Shodan. Tekishodan. Ayo. Shubirich. So that is it. That's Tekishodan. It's one of the shortest. Because of the space, we decided to perform that too.
Very well. The one we will not allow here is kumite. We don't. We have very expensive equipment, so we will not allow a sparring session here.
All right.
So,
all right.
how would you score that?
No, thank you.
Because we would like, you know, and David, you're free to repeat it so that we are able to understand how the scoring works as it goes on.
Now, what normally happens, each category are given a certain number of katas. For instance, for the juniors, you start from Tekyok Shodan to Tekishodan, which these katas are supposed to be done by the novice champions. Now, what normally the judges look on is how, first of all, you need to pronounce the kata which you're supposed to be doing. Once you go to the tatami, you pronounce that kata. That is the first place. And then the second step, you do that kata according to how it's supposed to be done. The punches, if it involves punches, if it involves kicks, the movements and everything. Now, the judge is going to award the point on how you've done that kata. Because if you do not pronounce the kata, then the judge will not know what you are supposed to be doing. Understand? And then there's a way you need to get into the tatami and you bow first as a sign of respect. If you don't do that again, you get a 0 point. Because you've not demonstrated what karate means. Because bowing is one of the karate do's, which means you need to respect. So those are basically what we are looking at. First, pronounce the kata, then have you acquired the basic techniques of that kata? Because that is what you want to see you executing actually. So if you do not know the basic techniques, you definitely fail. So the person who's going to do the best is the one who's going to be awarded the best. So it is all about execution and giving out your best on whatever you have learned.
And if I may add, I remember my first experience as I was just sharing with Bongo. I did not know I actually pronounced one kata and did another one. So in the event that you do that, your opponent will definitely win. However, you won't get a 0 because they will be looking at the technique and how well you have done it. So, and sometimes you may think that your opponent has done very well and then they get confused somewhere and they stop doing the kata. But if you do that kata to the end, even if you have made a mistake, you will actually win. You will score better points because you've started and completed. Yeah.
Now, something that people say, this is combat sports, unarmed, but there is always something that's that we have seen that as the sport evolves, protective gear. We've seen some using gloves when training and that.
Yeah.
Just tell us how that comes into play.
Okay, we normally use what we call hand mitts, which are the normal gloves, and also we have chest protectors, shin guards, and foot guards. So those materials are made of some soft sponge, such that when you hit your opponent, he does not get the injuries. However, you need to control. So those are the protective gears which we use during the committees. Yeah.
And how has that changed? Because I know at one point, it was basically bare knuckle.
When karate started around in 1928, it was really bad. But it has evolved through more training and also having some rules in the game. Because karate is being governed by the World Karate Federation. So they give us the rules, and then we've turned it to more sportive. Because karate, like other arts, it is the first one to score. So once you strike a score, the game stops, you are awarded your point, and then it goes on. It's not like a combat you fight until the end. No, we don't do that.
Not like boxing where
No. We don't do that. First one to score, you are awarded a point. Once you strike with a punch, you are awarded a point. You strike with a kick, you are awarded a point. So the person who wins with more points becomes the winner in that game.
Okay, and as that is happening, I will pick two people randomly. Ivy Doresi and Daniel Mwendo. This is what I would like you to do. Just demonstrate, basically, and you could do what you'd call basically done, not full combat, but just indicating where the scoring points are so that people can understand, so that they know it's not just because you've thrown a kick and it lands maybe at the shoulder, then so that we can get the scoring points.
Yeah, sure.
And by the way, on the same note, karate, unlike other games, you don't hit below the belt. That is prohibited. You need to
same with boxing.
Yes, same with boxing. The other arts which on the shins and everything, but karate is above the belt, and not hard on the head. Just from the chest downward to the tummy, that one is allowed. Yeah, and the back. Yeah.
All right. So we'll be getting that display, and as that comes in, so TD. This is what basically I randomly picked Ivy and Daniel. So let them just give us a demonstration basically of the scoring zones and just how quick they can be. So Ivy and Daniel, you can do that as we get more of this. And the scores that you bring in, just describe them so that people understand there is the point and at which point it stops.
Yeah. Basically, the novice committee, we have up to 12 points. So you start from 1. Once you hit with a punch to the tummy or to the chest, you get 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
That is 1 point. When you do a kick to the head, you get 3 points.
Aha.
So it will solely depend on how you are keen. For instance, we are doing a committee with you. The board is showing us the points. And then I've struck 5 points, you are at 6 points. If I need to use my head, if I go to your head, striking with a mawashigiri, that is around head to the head, I get 3 good points. So that
you've called it
a mawashigiri. That is around
the Chuck Norris kick.
Yes. Yes. So there's a mawashigiri and ura mawashigiri, which is a back kick to the head, a hook kick. So I'll be very keen. You are ahead of me 3 points. So I need to recover that. So I'll do my best. If I get the opportunity, even if it is 5 seconds remaining, if I hit your head with the mawashigiri or a hook kick, that ura mawashigiri, I get what is called an ippon. And an ippon, I get straight 3 points, which I'll be ahead of you.
Well,
there's something that they've just done where one of them was on the ground and the other one came in with a punch. That also gets you 3 points. 3 points is the maximum you can get at any given time. Yes.
Well, as we see the display, that is Daniel Mwendo and Kennedy Kioko giving us a kumite display. No contact, but you can tell that there is a lot of control and you would... Is this choreographed?
No. In fact, if you've seen very well, Kyoko has done what we call an ura mawashi.
Yes.
He did it round. That kick went round behind him.
Yes.
To his friend.
So that kick is the one that made Chuck Norris famous. So just to put it into context in a simple way.
Yes.
Now, basically, preparations for the Inter-County Championship. What's the way now for Nairobi?
For Nairobi, first of all, we must state that one of the key challenges that we have faced, and I think it's pretty much almost everyone, is the issue of funding. It has been it's a pain point, but we are managing with what we have because, again, you cannot fail to hold a championship just because you do not have enough funding. You use what is available. So for us, what we have planned to do is, of course, with the just ended championships, we had our team, we selected our team, so they're going to get into training pretty soon, and that will be headed by our very own technical director, Okomo. And they will be training at least twice a week. And then because these people come from various parts of Nairobi, we need to have a centralized training place, and they need fair transport to wherever it is they're coming from or where they're going to. And then perhaps, depending on how good they will be at, they may need to come to camp. And at that point, again, costs will go up, and we need to get a partner for that. And I also must add that one of our very greatest supporters is the Nairobi RC, Mr. Kate. And I am hoping that he will come through, not just him, but he will also invite his friends to come through for the team in terms of our preparation and ensuring that the team is well prepared for the Inter-Counties Championship. And I believe our team is going to take it. We've been taking this trophy all through. Yes, and I'm certain that the team that we currently have, even coming from the COVID period, because for a very long time we didn't have these championships. And from that we are recovering pretty fast. And our current team is a very strong team. It's a team that I have faith in. If they were all selected to represent Kenya, even in the Morocco games, I'm sure we'll bring trophies home.
All right. Thank you very much. And first of all, I'd like to thank David Okomo, who is the technical director, Nairobi Karate Association, and your team of Ivy Doresi, Juliet Musenya, Kennedy Kioko, Daniel Mwendo. Thank you very much for coming to our studios. Thank you for the kata and also for giving us the key horn. Thank you very much.
Thank
I also know some.
Yes.
Yes. Arigato.
Arigato gozaimasu.
That is basically saying thank you. And also to John Bongo, who's the Assistant Secretary.
Thank you
very much for being with us. And also the Vice Chair, Anbeth Otieno.
Thank you.
That brings a close to our program, Sports Check, this morning. And I can tell you, all our equipment is intact despite the martial arts display. Thank you for being with us. Coming up next is Kurunzi Mashinani with Zainab Said. And after that, the interview program, Tamrini. For those who made this possible, and you, the viewer, we say thank you very much. And let me bow out.
the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
Digital resilience is about organizations being able to continue to operate despite negative impacts that they've experienced.
The subject digital transformation, we keep talking about it, but very many people fail to understand that.
Twitter's removal of blue ticks is forcing accounts to find new ways to prove authenticity as concerns over copycats mount. At the same time, Elon Musk has given blue ticks to a few celebrities who didn't ask for one, such as writer Stephen King and Larry Madowo, for free.
Click on Tech every Monday at 10:30 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Stay tuned.
Ulitoka vipi bila kuniambia wewe?
Yaani kutoka siku zote leo ni mbaya. Yaani si vile ninavyomfahamu.
Unifahamu wewe? Unifahamu kabisa? Sikujui. Kingo huyu mtu ni nani?
Mimi peke yangu ndio jinamizi kwenye ile nyumba.
Yaani mtoto jinsi unavyong'ara. Mtoto unameremeta. Mtoto kubambamu.
Ni kwaje mbona hali ya mama imebadilika ghafla namna hii?
To many, they're simply the greatest rock band of all time. But here's what German TV had to say.
They've got charm, good music, business sense, and a dose of what can only be described as naive perversity. Let's hope this fever subsides soon, for the sake of the youth.
60 years on, and the fever has definitely not subsided. So why are the Rolling Stones the greatest rock band in history? They are musical innovators. They cultivate a rebellious image. They have a huge cultural influence. They inspire other bands. Their concerts are spectacular, and they're still going strong despite the odds. So let's dive into the Stones cosmos.